For 38 long years, the man lay by the Pool of Bethesda. Not days. Not months. Years stacked upon years, hope slowly decaying beneath the weight of disappointment. His body had grown weak, but it was his spirit that hurt the most. Every morning, he watched others rise, walk, and live while he remained trapped in the same spot. The pool was said to carry healing power when its waters stirred, but healing always seemed to belong to someone else. He had learned the routine of pain. Wake up. Wait. Watch. Lose. Again and again. His life had become a cycle of expectation followed by heartbreak. People passed him daily, some curious, some pitying, most indifferent. To them, he was just another broken man by the water. But to himself, he was a reminder of prayers unanswered and dreams abandoned. As time passed, hope stopped feeling like faith and started feeling like torture. He no longer believed healing would come, he only waited because waiting was all he had left. His story was not loud or dramatic. It was quiet suffering. The kind that eats away at the soul slowly, until giving up feels easier than believing again. And yet, on this ordinary day, something extraordinary was about to happen. Not because the water would stir, but because Jesus was about to walk into a place filled with forgotten people. Bethesda was crowded, not with celebration, but with pain. The blind, the lame, the paralyzed lay scattered around the pool like broken pieces of forgotten lives. Each person carried a story heavier than their bodies. Some whispered prayers. Some stared into nothingness. Some had stopped hoping altogether. The air was thick with desperation. Everyone waited for the water to move, believing that healing belonged to the fastest, the strongest, the luckiest. Mercy, it seemed, had conditions. And this man knew he could never meet them. Every time the water stirred, someone else reached it first. Every time. Over time, his disappointment hardened into resignation. He no longer fought for healing, he only survived. He didn't expect miracles anymore. He expected disappointment, because disappointment had become familiar. Then Jesus arrived. No announcement. No spectacle. Just quiet footsteps moving through a crowd that had no idea who stood among them. He didn't go to the pool. He didn't watch the water. Instead, he looked for one person. Jesus saw what others overlooked. Not just the man's condition, but his exhaustion. Not just his sickness, but his surrender. 38 years of silent suffering were laid bare before the eyes of Christ. And Jesus stopped. Jesus walked toward the man who had long stopped believing. There was no judgment in his eyes, no pity in his tone. Only clarity. And then he asked a question that pierced deeper than sickness ever could. Do you want to be healed? It wasn't an obvious question. Of course he wanted healing, or did he? After decades of disappointment, hope had become dangerous. Wanting again meant risking another heartbreak. The man didn't say yes. He didn't even mention faith. Instead, he explained his excuses, his reality. Sir, I have no one to help me into the pool. Every time I try, someone else goes ahead of me. Years of pain spilled out in one sentence. No one helps me. No one waits for me. No one chooses me. His response revealed a soul conditioned by loss. He had learned to expect abandonment, not miracles. But Jesus wasn't asking to shame him. He was asking to awaken him. Because sometimes the greatest prison isn't sickness. It's the belief that change is no longer possible. Jesus didn't argue. He didn't correct the man's theology. He didn't point to the water. Instead, he spoke directly to the problem everyone else avoided. Jesus looked at the man and said words that defied logic, reason, and experience. Get up. Pick up your mat. Walk. No water moved. No ritual happened. No delay followed. Just a command. For 38 years, his body had obeyed weakness. Now it was being commanded by authority. The authority of the one who spoke life into existence. In that moment, the man faced a decision. Stay in what felt familiar, or attempt what felt impossible. Faith didn't roar, it trembled. And yet, something shifted. Strength flowed where weakness had lived. Bones responded. Muscles awakened. He stood. The crowd gasped. The man looked down at legs that had betrayed him for decades, and now held him up. He bent, lifted his mat, and took his first steps into a life he thought he'd never have. Healing didn't come from the pool. It came from Jesus. Sometimes Jesus doesn't heal the way we expect, because if he did, we'd keep trusting the wrong source. The miracle wasn't just that the man walked, it was that his waiting was over. As the man walked away, healed and free, religious leaders stopped him, not to celebrate, but to criticize. It is the Sabbath, they said. You are not allowed to carry your mat. They saw the rule. They missed the miracle. For years, they had walked past him without compassion. Now they noticed him only because healing disrupted their system. Religion had made them blind to mercy. The man didn't argue theology. He simply said, "The man who healed me told me to pick up my mat and walk." He didn't yet know Jesus' name, but he knew his power. How often does God change a life, only for others to question it instead of praising him? How often do people focus on methods instead of miracles? Jesus later found the man again, not to rebuke him, but to restore him fully. Healing the body was only the beginning. Jesus cared about the man's soul too. Later, Jesus found the man in the temple. This time, he didn't speak about sickness, but about purpose. "See, you are well. Sin no more, so that something worse doesn't happen to you." Jesus wasn't threatening him. He was protecting him. Because a healed body without a healed heart still leaves a person vulnerable. The man who once lay helpless now stood in God's house, whole, restored, seen. Not forgotten. Not overlooked. Chosen. His life was no longer defined by waiting, but by walking. No longer by excuses, but by obedience. Jesus doesn't just pull us out of our pain. He leads us into a new way of living. This story is not just about a man by a pool. It's about anyone who feels stuck. Anyone who has waited so long that hope feels foolish. Anyone who has watched others move forward while life keeps them behind. Jesus doesn't ask how long you've been broken. He asks if you're ready to rise. Your delay does not disqualify you. Your weakness does not repel him. And your past does not intimidate God. What you think has ruined you may be the very place Jesus meets you. Jesus is still asking the same question today. Do you want to be healed? Not just physically, but emotionally. Spiritually. Mentally. And he's still giving the same command. Get up. Not because you are strong, but because he is. Not because you deserve it, but because he loves you. Your season of waiting is not the end of your story. Your miracle may not come the way you expect, but it will come the way you need. Get up. Walk. Your time has come.